my name is Jacqueline Smurl, known to everyone by the name Jacques. I am, like yourself, mother of a vaccine-injured child. No, he's a young man now, 24-year-old young man. And
can you tell us, are you anti-vax? Clearly you're not, because you vaccinated your child, but they like to say that we are. So could you tell us what you were thinking about vaccines earlier?
You wouldn't get a more pro-vax person than me. And I think even now I'm a little bit in sort of Dr. Humphreys's camp, that I see the theoretical sort of advantages of a vaccine. However, I mean, I come from a family of doctors, lawyers, intellectuals, and it was a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you vaccinate? And I didn't ask questions, and I went and did it. I was like yourself. I was there. When in our red book it says between 12 months and 18 months, go and get the MMR. I was there 12 months, 20 days. I was going to be one of the first ones. Yeah, which I now regret what a dreadful decision I made. But my story, I think, starts a little bit sort of prior to that, because I believe I was vaccine injured myself. When I was 14, I came to boarding school to England, and we were lined up by nurse's office to have our MR jab at the time, measles rubella jab. And I was just telling Dr. Humphreys that woke up the next day, my hands were full of blisters, both of my palms. They were really itchy all night, and then in the morning they were just covered in blisters. Went to nurse, oh, you've had an allergic reaction. Okay, all right. Didn't think too much of it, and to this day I have them. You can see these blisters underneath. They're like bumps.
Very strange.
So I think that was the first damage to me. And then when I had my son, actually no, I was during pregnancy. When I was pregnant, I think 6 weeks, I had a bit of a bleed, and they gave me an injection of Rogam because I'm a rhesus negative blood.
That's when you were 6 weeks pregnant?
Yeah, anti-D. So, we don't want a blood exchange with your son if it's positive, and so you don't want to make antibodies to your son. Fair enough, had it. Within 2 weeks, I had shingles. I got the shingles, and they couldn't do anything, but it was quite mild. I had blisters here, so shooting down my left arm. Didn't think much of it. 24 weeks, they gave me another shot of Rogam. I was like, yeah, great, fine. This is good stuff. Birth, difficult birth, epidural, the lot, and they put me on an antibiotic drip, and I said, why? I don't want antibiotics. Oh no, because you've had the epidural, blah, 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 you need it.
Wait, because you've had an epidural? Loads of people have an epidural and don't go on an antibiotic drip.
When they give you epidural, they also put a catheter in, because you can't naturally wee, you're paralysed down there. So because of the catheterization, they give you an antibiotic. So they did that, and I don't think they had vitamin K at 24 years ago, or if they did, I didn't know at all. I was completely unaware. And then they did a blood test, he was positive, he gave me another Rogam shot, so 3 Rogam shots. And unbeknownst to me, which I found out years later, I'd had a miscarriage, and nurse gave me a Rogam shot and gave me the insert. I said, read that. And in it said, do not have vaccination for up to 6 months. It's a blood product. You will have adverse reaction to it. So there's my son who's had it, I've had it, and nobody warned me for my son to delay his vaccines, because he'd obviously had it twice during pregnancy. So I don't know this. 2 months he gets his first shot, he almost dies. My sister's a GP, she was staying with me, and I went to bed, I was tired, and she was holding my baby. I woke up at 4 a.m. Why isn't the baby crying? I want, to breastfeed. And there was my sister sitting in my living room with the baby like this, looking really worried. And I said, what's happening? She said, oh, no, nothing, he's all right. And I said, can I breastfeed him? I breastfed him, give him back to him, went to bed, to her rather. And the next day, because I was exhausted, the next day she said to me that he was not breathing properly. She stayed up all night to make sure that he didn't stop breathing. So again,
he had a DPT.
Yeah, he had the DPT and whatever it was. Yeah. So recovered from that. Month later, had the shot, and I was aware my sister wasn't with me, so I stayed up all night just to make sure. And he had a severe reaction, but again, just high temperature. He was all right. Recovered. Third shot, recovered. And he was an amazing kid, amazing. And he started to walk at 9 months. We used to have babble conversation. So I'd say something, he'd say something back, and we'd read books. You know, the cow says moo, he'd go through the book, he goes moo, meow, and then the rabbit, he'd go like that. So this is all like 10 months, 11 months. His expressive language was wonderful. I mean, I'd say, where is Uncle Kami? He loved dancing with his uncle, my brother. And when he wasn't around, I'd say, you know, where is he? And he would look around, he thought it was hide and seek, and then point to the picture on the mantelpiece. You know, there he is, you know, are you trying to trick me? He's not here, there he is. And so he was amazing. And my sister, being a GP, said, wow, you know, he's way ahead of his milestones. He's such a bright kid. So I go off to Iran with my husband, and because I was there, I thought, okay, I'm not going to miss the pediatrician, the MMR. So I sign up with the pediatrician, and I go in and say, could I have the MMR shot? And he said, you don't need the MMR shot. I said, yes, I do. He says, so in my red book, you know. No, we don't do MMR in Iran. And I said, why not? Why are you so backwards here? And he said, you don't need it, you know. He told me then, it's nonsense. All you need is measles. We've got measles, I can give you measles. You don't need the rubella, you don't need the mumps. Go away. Don't be silly. And I said, no, I want it. And he said, okay, all right, I'll get it for you. And I think he got it from the French Médecins Sans Frontières or Red Crescent or someone like that. So I went in the following week and was getting my baby ready, turned around, and then suddenly, boom, the shot went in his thigh. And I got so angry. So what was that? So that was the MMR. I said, I didn't see you with a syringe and, you know, all of that. I said, what are you insinuating? I said, well, that's what I'm used to, seeing people doing it. And so the nurse prepared it in the other room for me. But I got so angry, I just walked out. And I signed up with another pediatrician later on. But I straight away had a bad feeling, but I didn't know why at the time. And went home, expected the usual. My sister said sometimes they get a bit of rash with this, you know, they're unwell for a few weeks. So I was expecting that, and Calpol and all of that. And I remember he slept for days. He was really lethargic. For 2-3 weeks he was really lethargic, and then sure enough, I think second week he had a mild rash and he lost his appetite, and then the diarrhea started. Diarrhea, tummy ache, crying. New pediatrician said, oh, he's got a gastric flu. Gave him antibiotics. Didn't work. 5 days later, back again. Gave him really strong antibiotics. Didn't work. So they said, oh, he must have parasite. So I gave him antiparasitic medication. Still didn't work. And all this time, he's crying, he's off his food. The only thing, I breastfed him till 2 years, so he was breastfeeding. But that was the only thing. Couldn't sleep. And because he was so uncomfortable, he became so antisocial. This kid who was always running around and wanting to be with people, and he wanted to go to the park every day. He had 2-word sentences at 12 months. He would say, let's go out. Whenever he wanted to go to the park, go out, he'd say. Bring his shoes, and, you know, wanted to go. Didn't want to go out. He was sitting in front of the TV just watching Disney after Disney after Disney. He didn't respond to his name. And I thought, okay, yeah, he's in pain. He's got tummy problems. So I would be grumpy as well. So I just brushed it aside as that. And it just went on and on and on like that for months. And he only would have Weetabix or bread or eggs. And my milk. That's it. He wouldn't. Everybody kept saying, "Why doesn't he look at you anymore?" So, you know, he's going through a phase. And then we got to when he was 2, and I was talking to my sister about it. So, oh, don't worry, kids go through phases. So I was at a friend's, and her sister had come from Germany, and she took one look at my son running around really hyper, not really playing, but just running around. Said, "Oh, looks like my cousin so and so's son who's autistic," and my heart just sank. I had thought about autism, but I hadn't dared go there up to then. And then I was really upset. And then I mentioned to my husband. I said, "I think he has autism." He said, "Don't you dare label my kid." "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, he's not talking. He's 2. He's gone backwards. He's not talking. The kid we had is not there. Oh, he's just going through a phase." And I said, "No, I want to go. I want to go back to UK. I was in Iran still. I want to go back for to get him tested because this, that, and the other." And then he wouldn't let us come back. So we had ear test to show that he's not deaf. And they said, "No, there's a behavioural thing going on here. You need to get it checked out." But does he mind you moving around the furniture? But I didn't. I went to the park the different ways, and he didn't mind because he knew both ways went to the park. Also, he's not autistic. He's not routine oriented. But kids always are. So we all have routines. Anyway, push my husband to. He was back here for a meeting, got an appointment with a pediatrician, came back, went to see a pediatrician, and 2 years, 8 months, it's likely to be autism. And again, the confirmation was just like a dagger in my heart. What's happened, and I said, what do I do now? Nothing, we just wait and see. Wait and see what? Well, wait and see how he develops. Some people grow out of it. I said, well, what do I do to help him grow out of it? Put him in a nursery, do something. And so obviously I start to look, and I think 22 years ago, we didn't have the internet now. So I asked my dad, who was in the States, I said, whatever you know about autism, can you send me? And I met somebody in the park who had a kid I could see. It was like my son. And they said that they're doing some music therapy. So I was just meeting people, they were telling me what to do. And then I heard about Paul Shattuck and did a urine test and got the confirmation that he has got these sort of wheat and milk proteins coming through his urine, which he said you shouldn't have it. It's obviously going to the blood and it's coming from the blood, so his gut is leaky. You need to go on a diet. So I said, okay, all right. Put him on a diet. Within 5 days, he felt pain for the first time. I heard him say "ow." I hadn't heard him say "ow" up to that time. I mean, when he was 1 year, he probably did, but he walked on a Lego and he went "ow," and I thought, what happened? They're called Paul Shattuck. And he said, yeah, don't you know, it's glidomorphine and casomorphine are, as their name suggests, opiates. He's been on heavy doses of opiates because he's been on such a diet and everything. So he started to, he became more alert. He would run in the corridor, bang against the wall and then turn. Then he started to feel pain, so he stopped doing these things. A lot of things that people were saying that, it's autistic behavior. It's not. There's biological reasons behind it. I didn't know. So I was beginning to wake up to all of it, and proper diet, and I knew he had gut issues. And then my GP one day said, I wanted to do a B12 test. And he said, no, I don't want to put your son through this. If he's, let's say we find out he's B12 deficient, do you want to give him an injection of B12? It's really painful. I said, well, if it's going to help him, why not? He's in pain. And then one day he said, there's a bunch of people at the Royal Free and gastroenterologists who are looking at bowel issues. Do you want to go? I said, yes, please. So I went and saw Professor Walker-Smith and Dr. Murch, and they did an X-ray, and first thing we found, he had huge fecal impaction the size of a grapefruit. And they said, we need to get rid of that. And would you mind if we scope him to see what the extent of the damage is? And I said, no, please, I want to know what's going on. So we booked, we went in, cleared out his bowels, and you could see immediately he was so much more comfortable, so much happier, and he had the colonoscopy and they took biopsies, and I think second or third day this lovely man walked into the room called Andy Wakefield and said hi and said, we're doing a research and do you mind if we use some of the biopsies and all of that, and I said yes, and I had we had an interesting conversation. I won't talk about it now. I think later on they said that since you are donating, I think the biopsies and things, you would be part of this research, and can you? Oh, I think they said that he had the lymphonodular hyperplasia. They gave him mesalazine to stop the inflammation, which was really good. And we were coming in to see them every so many weeks, and I had to fill in a questionnaire every week to show how his behavior was and everything. And then suddenly it all stopped. And I didn't see Andy until, I think it was 2002, I went to the AIA meeting, and I saw Andy and I said, what happened? He said, yeah, our research got shut down. But he had the results of the research, and he told us that Cassie had measles in his guts, which was causing the guts to shed. And I said, measles? He said, yeah, measles. And I said, he never got measles. And he said, well, he had something else though, didn't he? The MMR. I said, goodness me. And that sort of fits into what happened with my second son, because when he was born, I delayed the vaccination to 6 months. I'm a good mum. I'm still vaccinating. I don't blame vaccines. And I thought vaccines had something in it, but I thought that maybe it was like collateral damage, my bad gene. It was my, 1 in a million, so my son's the 1 in a million. So I thought I've got to protect the younger one. But because I knew because of the anti-D, I postponed it 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, immediately started to get rhinitis. But then I decided not to give the MMR until he spoke properly. I thought, let me see his language develop, because I'd seen the connection. But I wasn't sure. I'm not a doctor, so I thought I'm not going to risk it. So, and he was a late talker. He's very annoyingly, but then when he spoke in full sentences. He was nearly 3, which is when I found out about the measles thing, and I said, there's no way I'm going to do it. If it's a genetic thing and he's going to have a skewed reaction like Cassie did, I'm not going to do it. And I never did. And we discovered homeopathy. Both the kids grew up on homeopathy, and I became a homeopath as a result, because coming from a very scientific background, I just didn't know how this little sugar pill worked, and I thought, I've got to find out. I'm very curious. So I did a 4-year course to find out, and but I haven't looked back, because for 20 years kids haven't had they've had actually antibiotics once or twice when they were at their dad's, and the dad gave it to them, and I had to make sure that they've finished the course. But they grew up with that, the Western medicine, and Cassie over the years got better, but he's still autistic.
You've got some pictures, can we look at
Yeah, I've got before and after. Lovely, smiley boy.
I don't know what's the best way to... That's him all smiley.
That's him reading his book and making the rabbit signs, and he was. I've got a pièce de résistance at the end. He was always looking, at the camera, smiling, pulling a face, clapping, blowing me a kiss. He's about 9 months here, 8 months, blowing me a kiss. Dancing, clapping, and here, at his first birthday, he's pointing to the balloon.
That's great.
So I've got a picture of him pointing, but also, my sister knows. My sister said to me what happened to him. She knew he wasn't autistic, and this is after.
Did your sister, as a GP,
Yeah.
understand the vaccine autism connection?
She saw Vaxxed and she was horrified, and she said that the vaccine industry is very negligent. And his kids have to pull him to play, and he was chewing on things, he wasn't looking. He lost his smile. He completely lost his smile. It's his second birthday, the difference. He was just looking really skinny, worried, dark shadows under his eyes. And I was about to give birth, second one, and he just would pull away. He wouldn't let me hug him. It was the ABA stuff. But every picture he's looking away and looking really worried and sad. But then I think there's one that when he gets his smile back here, which is he was about 5, he got his smile back when we went on a diet and sort of my sweet boy. Yeah.
He's sweet.
So what is it that I want to say that I haven't said? Can't think now. No, I mean, with oh yes, I told Dr. Suzanne yesterday. My younger one, who's going to be 21, he's a medical student, and he was vaccine free, and he had his chickenpox, and well, not vaccine-ish free, chickenpox, measles. He got measles, I got measles. 46.
You caught the disease?
I caught it.
At age 46?
46, having had the MR at 14. So it obviously waned off after 30 years. So the lifelong.
Now, how was that experience for you?
I was well, actually, my son was in bed 5 days. I was in bed 7 days, and 2-3 days was really bad. My mouth was on fire because there's like this heat in your everywhere in your body. But apart from drinking water, I had lots of vitamin A and homeopathy. Yeah, I was it was fine, no problems. And Sina as well, my younger boy. We found out at the weekend he had it. By Thursday, he was back at school, and we did swab tests for the whole family, and mine and his came positive. Cassie, my older one, came negative. So that one shot obviously had protected him, so he didn't get it. But oh yes, this story I was going to tell. That my GP said to me, "Oh, Cassie's only had one MMR." I said, "Yes, I know. There's been studies showing that kids who only get one exposure to the MMR, they're more likely to get SSPE. This is the encephalitis that you can get from measles." And I said, "He's already been damaged, brain damaged. So I think I'll risk it. I won't have a second shot." But there's a higher chance. I said, "It's okay. I'll
Where did you
take
get that from? What?
I asked Dr. Humphries, what's behind this? Is it true? Should I have another shot?" And he said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "No, I'm just, is there a scientific reason behind it?" But I think he's been exposed to measles and he didn't get it. So he had his booster through us, I'm assuming. So he's had his booster shot naturally. So that's one story. And the other story is that my younger one is a medical student, and when he was about to start, he had to show his vaccine history, and we got from the doctor that said he's had his DTaP and he's had measles. And I said, "No, you've got to catch up everything else." And I said, "I'll help you. I've got a lot of stuff. We'll come in and we'll get an exemption for you." And he said, "No, Mum, no, I don't want to rock the boat." And
I don't want to rock the boat. So he's prepared to take the vaccine. Yeah,
but it annoyed me a lot. But then since then I found out that the Hep B he has to have because it's a blood. If he's drawing blood, there's blood contact. He can put himself at risk.
We had 3 seriously bad
I know.
Hep B stories.
I know.
So nobody has to have anything. He needs to choose another profession. Your friend's doing.
That's him. Tell you.
So I just think that, I'm sorry, but putting your children in the military or in a medical school is like child abuse. The worst thing us parents can do is allow them to do that.
Exactly.
Makes me angry.
But I made sure he didn't have it all.
He was beautifully unvaccinated and he went and did that.
I made sure he did it all separately. Sort of 4 weeks in between. I gave him Thuya, I gave him the homeopathic back in potency, lots of vitamin C, zinc and everything. With the DTaP he got a bit of cold. With the other one, he hasn't completed the Hep B. It's 3 rounds, he has only done 2. He hasn't done the 3rd yet. But he knows. He came to see Vaxxed in February, met Andy Wakefield, and in May he's having his vaccine lecture. And I asked Dr. Wakefield, does he keep quiet? And he said, no, ask questions. Be brave, ask questions. This is the time to be brave. So he's been spreading the words. He's shown the movie to a lot of his friends, and they're all horrified. Everybody who sees it gets horrified by it. So we're slowly sort of trying to educate people. And I just want to say to everybody, please come out, please come and tell your stories. You have to tell your stories. This silent epidemic must be exposed. It really must. I mean, you guys have been, I'm very camera shy. I don't do camera, but since you guys have been going around, I thought, no, I've got to do it. If I've got to tell my story, everybody else has got to come out and tell their stories, because we're not 1 in a million. We really are not, and and we've got to prove that this isn't the way, And I think my theory is that probably 30% of the population have a predisposition to being damaged, and as generations go on, this cohort is growing, because we mix with people who are okay. They don't seem to get damaged, but then we're mixing. So next generation is weakening, and we're all sort of getting that gene that predisposes us to injury.